Okay, so now that we have drawn our line of best fit, we are going to find an equation for this line. The reason we do this is because it enables us to make predictions about things that either don't have a point on the graph that's shown or that just frankly don't fit on the graph. So if you look at the question they're asking, it says predict the number of zebra mussels in 2039. Well, that would be the data point x equals 30, right? And that means that would put me, out here somewhere, right? And I can't extend the graph that much. So that's where an equation comes in handy, is because then we can use that as a model predictor to find that value. So let's figure out how we write the equation of a line. So if you think about it, all we need to make a line are 2 points, right? You need 2 points to make a line. And I've pounded that in your head for a while now. And all you need to write an equation of a line is 2 points. So it goes both ways. If you have an equation of a line, you find 2 points, you can draw the line. If you have the line, you find 2 points on the line, and then you can find the equation. And you guys know how to do this, even though you might not have necessarily been directly asked to do this in this context yet, but you have done this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to pick out 2 points that are on this line. Okay, and we're going to choose this one and this one. And I picked 2 points that are included in the table because then I don't have to approximate what the numbers are. All right, so this point right here is this one, the point 115, and then this next point is the point 3175. So I'm going to take these two. And the very first thing that is helpful to know if you're writing a line is, first of all, we remember that we've got y equals mx plus b. That's kind of like our go-to equation with everything. So what I need to know if I'm using y equals mx plus b is I need to find my slope, and I need to find my y-intercept. And if I can find those two things, I can write an equation for this. Okay, so I know that if I have 2 points, I can find slope. And I find slope by finding the change in y over the change in x. And so if I look at these 2 points that I have right here, okay, and now I'm going to clear out some of this stuff so we can work on this, all right? And I'm going to find my slope down here. I'm going to go slope is your change in your y over your change in your x, all right? So that means you take your y coordinates and you subtract them from each other, and you take your x coordinates and you subtract them from each other. Well, let's actually do this in the order that it's listed on this, all right? So my y2 would be 175, right? And y1 then would be 15. So I have 175 minus 15. And then my x2, it has to be the x that corresponds with the 175, and that's 3. And then 3 minus 1. And so 175 minus 15 is 160. 3 minus 1 is 2. And so I get a slope of 80. So I know from having done this now that my slope is 80. So I'm halfway there. So now what I have to do is I have to figure out what's b. I have to find b. And if you remember, we've got a couple different options of how we can do this. We could use point slope form because I know the points, because I have these 2 points right here that I could use. All right? But I think it's a little faster just to use the equation y equals mx plus b and plug in what we know. So what I do know is I know my slope now, and I know a point. Let's use that first point. Let's use the point 115. So you can pick either point. It doesn't matter. I usually pick the one with the smaller numbers because I'm lazy, and I just think it makes for easier calculating. So now what we do is we recognize that this point is x and y. And I'm going to substitute in everything for what it corresponds with here. So I'm going through this equation. I've got y. All right, well, y is 15. Okay, so if I color code this, right, I'm going to write 15 right here. I'm going to go 15. All right, and then equals, and then m is 80, right? So I know that, sorry, I'm doing all this color shifting, but I want this to be really obvious. So this is m and this is m, right? And so that means 80. So 80 is going to go right where m would go in the equation. We're just substituting. And then x, let's just do green for x. All right? X is, oops, that's not what we want to do. All right? X is this guy right here. Oh, wrong color. This one right here. And it's going to be that. And it's going to go in right here. Okay? So for my x, I'm going to say times 1. And now that I've found all those, I only have one variable left. And because I have one variable left, I can solve for it. So you get 15 equals 80 times 1, which is 80, because mx is saying m times x. So you got to multiply those, plus b. So let's subtract 80 from both sides. This is what we do when we are trying to solve for a variable, is you get the variable by itself. And then you should get b is equal to negative 65. So now I have b and I have m. So I can write this equation. Okay? Let's write it. So you have y equals mx plus b. So m is 80, and then I just put x. And you remember, you're just plugging m and b in. And then plus b is going to be minus 65. All right? So now I have my equation, and I can substitute any value in I want for x to predict my y value. So remember, x is the number of years after 2009. And so the number they want us to do is 2039. So if I went 2039 and it's the years after 2009, you would just basically subtract this, and then you would get 30. Right? So it's 30 years after 2009. Most of you can do this in your head. Right? But in case you can't, and so you're going to go y is equal to 80 times 30 minus 65. Well, 8 times 3 is 24, and then you get your 2 zeros and subtract your 65. And so the number of zebra mussels in thousands would be 2335, which means that if you're doing it in thousands, you would just put 3 zeros at the end of this. Right? Multiply it by 1,000, that's what you would get. So this is how many zebra mussels you would predict to have in 2039. So that's how you do these. There's a lot of steps involved, but if you just break it down sequentially and try not to get too flustered, I know that you can do these, and I know you can get through these. So good luck.